Game one goes to the Dodgers, just as it did in the 2022 NLDS. In some respects, a winnable series opener for the Padres, a nice start. In other respects, there were some clear struggles that led to the result of this one. So we will discuss some of the pitching struggles, some of the missed opportunities, some of the defensive misplays that contributed to a loss in the series opener against the Dodgers, NLDS at Dodger Stadium. Padres had their chances, but it goes down as a 7-5 win for LA. Let's send a shout out to OGs, the sponsor of the On Fire podcast. Appreciate all they do for On Friar and for the NBC 7 sports team. Great place to catch games. If you're not up at Dodger Stadium Sunday, if you're going to catch NFL games, if it's a Saturday, college football, OGs is a place to do it. Bunch of locations around San Diego County, tons of TVs, great food, and an awesome beer list. So thanks to OGs for all they do for us at NBC7 and, of course, the On Friar podcast. Without further ado, the welcome music. It is the On Fire podcast. Pleased to be with you. Certainly not pleased to be with you under these circumstances. Padres jump out on the Dodgers, but LA feasts on Dylan Cease and the bullpen, and they come away with a 7-5 victory. Derek Togerson currently at Dodgers Stadium, talking to the team and getting their perspective on the game one loss. We are not alone, though. Fernando Ramirez. Pleased to be with you, Nando, the producer of the On Friar podcast. He's also been covering the Padres for Sporting Tribune this season, was at the Braves games last week in the Wild Card series. You can also check out the Compas Media Empire that Fernando Ramirez is part of. NFL, soccer, combat sports. Fernando covers it all, and again covers the Padres as well. And I'm glad that you're with us, Nando. This was a tough one. Manny Machado comes out swinging. Dodgers punch back. Xander Bogaerts puts him back ahead 5-3, and then as you were mentioning right before we got started, we're kind of curious, like what version of Dylan Cease we get from the Padres, because it's not like we generally get like really good or really bad. It's been like really good or kind of just okay. And we got more so kind of like the just okay version, which is, typically not okay enough when you're facing a lineup like the Dodgers.
Yeah, no, and thank you so much for having me on. It's awesome. I don't think you and I have ever done this, so it's pretty cool to get to do it with you. So right off the bat, Dylan Cease kind of had a similar game to what he had a week ago at Dodgers Park, where I kind of went with the hangover excuse for that game because they had celebrated clinching a wild card, and you're like, okay, you see that and everything, but in this game, 3.1 innings, 6 hits, 5 earned runs, and then last week it was 5 innings, 5 hits, 3 earned runs. So just both games in Dodgers Stadium has been a struggle for him. So I felt like getting right off the bat, yeah, Machado hits that home run, but then here come the Dodgers. Ohtani ties it up, and I just never felt like Cease was in control of this game the way you've seen it in the past. I've been at games at Petco where Dylan really has control of the game. He knows exactly what's going on, and he settles into his game. He did not look settled. He looked rattled, and I felt like the team looked rattled at some points. Manny Machado missing that throw to first base that ended up costing them a run later in the game. So little things like that is kind of where you saw this game slip away. But they had a chance at the end. You and I both watched it, and Machado ended up striking out. But it's one of those things where you just need the little things are what matters in baseball. And I feel like the Padres did not take care of the little things tonight.
Yeah, I mean, that's yes, Sapien says it pretty well. Womp womp. That's kind of how it feels, especially after that start, the Manny homer and Bogaerts getting runs 4 and 5. um, across for the Padres. Um, and so, yeah, I mean, you make a great point in that. What have the Padres done all season? They've played clean baseball, and that was not the case today. Whether it be at the plate and some of the opportunities there, whether it be defensively and some of the issues that they had there, and then, of course, pitching not what you wanted out of Dylan Cease, who has kind of Cy Young capability. We've seen the ability to shut down quality lineups, but did not have that today. Now, I will say, as I mentioned off the top, I was thinking back, like they did drop game one in 2022. They read off three straight, win, of course, on that incredible Saturday night at Petco Park. So the precedent is set. But thinking back to that series, they had gone three against the Mets, had to throw Clevenger, who was their fourth starter, and obviously wasn't in a good place that postseason. They lose that one, but then they turn the rotation over. And I believe Darvish started. Somebody
Darvish
mentioned,
started.
yeah, game two. And similar situation here, but it's not Clevenger losing, it's Dylan Cease losing. And you go into this one feeling like, okay, you're pretty good. You feel pretty good with Dylan Cease on the mound. You're going to have a game four potentially where it's a Martin Perez or a bullpen type game. Darvish Sunday must win. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you can still salvage a split against LA. And if you get a split, you feel really, really good about your chances now going back to um, Petco Park for two games. But it's a little bit of a different situation. Obviously, the unfortunate news about Joe Musgrove. I think after what we saw against Atlanta, probably figured we weren't going to see Joe again, so he was not really part of the calculus. But there is the precedent set there in terms of what happens now going forward, but not an ideal start, certainly. And I think what caused Dylan Cease issues was, look, he gets through the first, gets Otani out, walks Betts, Freeman single, Teoscar Hernandez, fielder's choice, strikes out Max Muncy to end the threat in the first. But I think where Padres pitching kind of struggled a bit just in general was the bottom of the order last week.
Yeah.
That final series at Dodger Stadium, not not letting those guys set the table for Shohei Otani. And that's what they did in the seventh. Starts with a walk of Will Smith, Gavin Lux base hit. You get Edman and Rojas, but then you got Otani coming up with 2 on. We know what happens. He deposits that one to the stands in right, and all of a sudden it's a tie ball game. Bogaerts puts them back ahead 5-3. Great to see Xander Bogaerts. A couple hits right out of the gates, drove in a couple runs after going 0 for 7 against Atlanta. But then you get to the fifth, and Edman reaches on a bunt single. Rojas singles to left. I mean, these are guys that you need to get out. You have a chance to go 1-2-3 and avoid Otani in the fifth. Instead, Otani is on single to load the bases. Morhone, he's been a high leverage guy, has had a pretty good season. A wild pitch allows a run to score. And then looking forward to hearing Mike Shilt's explanation with the fourth inning, because you have Betts with 2 strikes, and you intentionally walk Mookie Betts, and that loads the bases back up. And he gets Freeman, but then Teoscar Hernandez, the single to center. Jackson Merrill, who's played pretty much a perfect center field all season long, kind of like a low liner, maybe a bit of an in-between ball. If he dives, maybe has a chance at it. It gets by him, and 2 more runs come in, and Dodgers take the lead for good. You mentioned the Manny Machado error, the throwing error that allowed Will Smith to get on to start the fifth, and then Gavin Lux single, the Tommy Edman double play that allows Smith to score. So not taking care of the bottom of the order. Defensively, not playing particularly clean. Cease not being Cease. Morahone, he gets 2 strikes on Mookie, misses on a couple splitters, and then Shildt decides to give him the free pass, and things kind of tailed off from there. But they had opportunities. So we'll discuss it. It goes on. They had opportunities late in the
Yeah.
but just the inability to handle those guys after like the big four, big three, or big fours is what killed him tonight.
Well, what did you think about pinch hitting Higgy? They took him out, and then Diaz went in, and kind of feels like Higashioka is one of these guys that he comes up in the clutch a lot of times. So I kind of wondered a little bit about that because Diaz struck out at the beginning of the ninth inning, and you're kind of like, well, if that was Higashioka, could he have maybe gotten on? So that was one of my questions when it came to Shildt. The other thing, like you mentioned, the walking Mookie, I thought there was a couple of times where they should have walked Shohei. When right before Shohei hit that homer, I'm like, why not just walk him, let him get on base. He can do whatever he needs to, but at least against Mookie, you have a better chance than against him. But just I don't know, the putting in DS for Higgy kind of got to me a little bit, but yeah, just mental errors that they need to correct. And the thing is here, it's not like in the NFL where you have a week to think about all the mistakes and everything. No, it's like right away. It's like Tatis said after they beat the Braves, we have a 24-hour rule. It's right, and the next day we have to get ready and you have to go for it. So that's kind of what the Padres are going to have to do today, tomorrow. Not think about the mental errors. Think, you know what? It's a new game. Let's go get it. And kind of piggyback off of what you said. Think about what happened the last time that they faced the Dodgers in this situation. They were down 1-0 to the Dodgers, and Yu Darvish comes in. They win the game, and then they move back to San Diego. I mean, they still have a huge opportunity to come down 1-1. You're in your hometown, like you put so eloquently the other day. The Dodger fans are not going to be able to be inside of Petco Park. That's going to be your own thing. There was a lot of, by the way, there was a lot of Padre fans tonight at Dodger Stadium. When I mean a lot, I mean you could see on the TV sprinkled around and a good amount of them. So that was good by Padre fans to be out there. But yeah, they just need to concentrate on the little things, make sure that they're squared away for tomorrow. But you have to give the Dodgers bullpen credit. They only allowed 2 hits. After they replaced their
Yamamoto.
pitcher and Yamamoto, and they really settled down, and you just have to give a lot of credit to them. But tonight, remember that first run, it was all about the batters after Machado. Guys that really turned it on. Trent Grisham, we remember how well he was hitting. Cronenworth has been ice cold so far to start this. So I think that's kind of where the Padres need a little bit more juice. They need the later guys, after Merrill, to kind of get it going and get themselves on base. And I saw a lot of bad swings tonight as well when they were down on counts and stuff. And just like I said, mental errors, again, is kind of what got them tonight. Like that last Manny pitch, why would you swing? And I told you, he's going to swing at whatever comes next. And he swung at whatever came next. And again, I'm saying that from the couch. I get it. But at the same time, it's like, dude, just relax. Take a deep breath. Like you said, Fernando had an opportunity to – sometimes he'll swing at those things. He decided to be patient, and he was able to get a single and kind of got the inning going. So, unfortunately for them, they weren't able to mount one of their famous comebacks.
Yeah.
But it's just about staying patient and getting ready for game 2 because they have a big opportunity to be able to come back tied 1-1.
Yeah. Eric Moe saying we had this. Shaking my head. And CU adding Cease had a 5-3 lead, never had a shutdown inning. Even the bottom of their lineup, he couldn't get them out. And that was kind of the story. I think taking out Higgy,
shaky by him.
Yeah, I think taking out Higgy was they put in Peralta, a lefty, against a righty in Phillips, and so I think that was just kind of a matter of matchups. I'm sure they had some information that went into that decision. And they offensively they just kind of stalled. Higgy had that double in the 4th, no base runners in the 5th, 6th, or 7th, and then they load the bases in the 8th against Kopech and against Trinan. Profar walks, Machado strikes out, Merrill 10-pitch walk, fouled off like 4 straight pitches, and then gets on board Bogaerts pops out, Cronenworth draws a walk, and you got Donovan Solano up, and he strikes out
Yeah.
against Trinan. And Solano's like done enough that you feel confident in him in these spots. Had a walk off this season against the Dodgers, and so that's tough there. To see a situation or an opportunity like that to present itself against Kopech, against Trinan, both have been really, really good. We saw it last week with Kopech, and Trinan's been lights out since he's been healthy. And all of a sudden, this Dodger bullpen, as you mentioned, has been really formidable. And then, in the ninth, I mean, Arise, a screamer to second that was
What a
Gavin
great
Lux.
Gavin
Yeah,
Lux. What
awesome play
a
by
grab.
Gavin Lux. Because then you have a chance to have Tatis come up. He singles left. You're looking at potentially first and third for Profar with one out. To Tatis's credit, like you said, facing Trinan, a guy with that sweeper pitch low and away that can cause Tatis trouble. He gets aboard. Profar draws a tough walk, and the Machado, who also can be susceptible to that pitch, kind of goes fishing for one, and that's the game. And and especially on a day where the Dodgers move Yamamoto to pitch game one, potentially to throw game five. We'll see how it goes. And he was not good from the very beginning.
No.
I think 28 pitches in the first. Obviously, Manny with the home run. You get him out of the way early. You think, okay, that we've got a real opportunity here. Yamamoto just gets through three, gives up those 5 runs on 60 pitches. But the Dodgers, when they got the bullpen in there, they were tough, and they kept the Padres from doing much. And you mentioned the bottom of the order. One of the keys for the Padres this season is getting contributions up and down the lineup, and they were not able to do that in this case. Luis Arraez 1 hit, Fernando Tatis Jr. 2-hit game, Profar 0 for 3, Machado 1 for 5. That one, of course, being the homer. Merrill 0 for 2, Bogaerts 2 for 4, and then your 7, 8, 9, Cronenworth 0 for 3, Solano 0 for 4, Higgy 1 for 2, Peralta and Diaz combined 0 for 2. And so those guys that had made things happen for the Padres. Again, whereas the Dodgers drew walks, hits, like got things going in those like 6 to 9, 7 through 9 spots in the lineup, that was not the case for the Padres. And it cost them just in terms of what the Dodgers were able to do, getting it turned around, getting Ohtani back up, those guys back up, and doing some damage there. I'm scrolling Twitter just to see if we get any quotes from Mike Shildt.
Did you see Yamamoto's face when Machado hit it? Not the first one.
The second
The
one,
second one.
I think he reached
like,
for his head. He's like, "Oh no, not again!"
Not again. He had the Macaulay Culkin Home Alone look, like, "Oh no!" Like, here it goes again. But
he was going through it, and I joked that Vesia, a San Diego area guy, had gone through it, and to his credit, really, really good when his name was called upon. And so it's just tough. It's tough. Definitely didn't play their best game, but when you think of what they were able to do with the early innings and the opportunities that presented themselves late, you feel like, okay, this is, a real chance for them to steal the opener. But just Los Dodgers World Series champs. Why am I even showing that? This is a problem when I don't read the comments before I show them. Yes, we saw Cease's face after Ohtani hit that home run. Cease, who can be pretty stoic, clearly affected and not as sharp as he needed to be, and probably felt a little bit rattled when he's letting base runners get on in the bottom of the order, and he knows he has to deal with guys like Ohtani, Betts, and Freeman.
Too many walks also. There was and that was the problem last week as well when they faced the Dodgers after clinching. They allowed too many walks. I felt like there was a lot of walks tonight. So guys were, when they were getting multiple people on base, then guys would come up and like we said, Ohtani 3-run shot, and then there were some other times where there were just too many people on base and just a real serious kind of issue. I mean, like I said, little things are kind of what matters in baseball, and that was one of the things that I thought they kind of struggled with, is that they were allowing guys on base. But one guy that you have to give a huge shout out to is Jason Adam, and I know
Yeah.
Obviously, there's a lot of negativity, especially after a loss. But Jason Adam, man, I thought he had a great night tonight, and he really held it down. I think he pitched 2 innings, if I'm not mistaken, and I
One of the
thought he
third.
was
Yeah.
one in a third. Yeah, yeah, he was really impressive tonight. So
Yeah.
you have to tip your cap off to him because the Padres are going to have to rely on their bullpen, especially because you just don't know. There's kind of a going into the playoffs, there was a lot of excitement about the pitching, but now with, like you said, Joe Musgrove needing Tommy John surgery and being out, now it's a little bit shaky. But I mean, Darvish has come back. I think he's 5-0 since he's been back in the games that he's pitched, and then you have you just have to rely on that guys are going to be able to swing the bat again. Cronenworth is one of those missing pieces that they really need to get him going, and he has just not been able to be consistent. So I don't think he has a hit so far in the 3 games. So that's a little worrisome. If I'm not mistaken, I don't think Jake has
Mm.
a hit. So that's again kind of worrisome for a team that's going to need him because he was 0 hits in
Yeah. 0 for 6 against the
seven
Braves,
nine
and yeah.
yeah 0 for 9. So they're going to need Jake was a big part of what they did last time they faced the Dodgers. So in 2022. So now they're going to really need him to wake up and try and get something going because we all know. I mean, as soon as you hear him smack the ball, you know that thing's gone, and they're gonna need him to really turn it on and wake up because today they got it out of Bogaerts. Bogaerts
Yeah.
had that the 2-run
Yeah.
RBI, and now they're going to
Great to
need
see.
Jake to kind of and you need it, especially when the guy is making a red. By the way, ESPN just had to mention that they're like, oh, they were going after Trey Turner and Aaron Judge, and they kind
No.
of settled on not ESPN, sorry, Fox
Yeah.
FS1. They were like they kind of settled with Bogarts, and you're kind of like, okay, like, and then he ends up making that good play. So yeah, they're
Yeah.
just gonna need the other guys to kind of get it going, and Profar again, another guy that is kind of need to step up as well, especially because he had such a great season, 24 home runs. He was an all-star. Now they need him to step up
Yeah.
and be an all-star in this series. So a lot, like you said, tomorrow is a must-win for these guys.
Got Jack Flaherty going for the Dodgers. Saw him last week in that final meeting of the regular season. Gave up 3 and 5 innings in a game. It was the game 2 of that series, a 4-3 win for the Dodgers. Quality start before that, 3 and 6 earned. Before that, 4 and 3 against Atlanta. And so, he's not been incredibly sharp of late. And so you think, you have an opportunity to get some runs across against him, but you did that against Yoshinobu Yamamoto, and it didn't, equate to a win the way that you would have expected it to. And it's a good point about the bullpen because, Adams, Scott, obviously we've talked about Suarez, but those guys a little bit, shaky towards the end of the regular season. Brian Hoeing, another guy. And, those guys, Adam really good. Hoeing gets him through 2/3. Tanner Scott strikeout of Ohtani just as he did last week on that lefty on lefty matchup. I joked if you could have Tanner Scott just face Shohei Ohtani every time, I think everybody would feel comfortable about that. Unfortunately, it's not how the game works. So there were definitely some good signs, but I mean, yeah, you make a good point. Jake Cronenworth, who had the homer in game 1 of that series last week against Tuesday, that kind of sparked that victory. And so, he plays well against the Dodgers. Got the walk there in the 8th inning to set it up, but the guys behind him in the order just couldn't get the job done. Not a Padre hater. It was our bullpen tonight. I mean, if Dylan Cease is able to get you through 5-6 innings, you're probably not talking about the bullpen quite to the same degree. Stop pitching to Ohtani, walk. Why? That changed the momentum of the game. Down 3-0. Yamamoto struggling. Why pitch to Ohtani? We're kind of entering that territory. I think the reason why is because you've got Mookie Betts behind him. Although Mookie 0 for 2, Freeman 2 for 5 today. Hack-a-shack.
Yeah.
So I mean, you gotta wonder at this point, just because until Mookie proves it, proves that he's the regular season Mookie or the Mookie that you saw in the 2020 postseason. maybe you just give Ohtani the free pass and ask for Mookie and the guys behind you to beat him. Especially, if you're, maybe regardless of the situation, whether it's like 1 or 2 on for Ohtani, or if it's a clean inning for Ohtani. They did a relatively decent job, for Ohtani standards, but not necessarily the case today. Obviously, with that big swing that makes it go from a 3-0 game where you feel really good to a tie game, and all of a sudden the Dodgers have all the momentum.
I wonder how long Freddie Freeman's going to be able to hang on. I thought he didn't look right
Stole
in
a
most.
base today.
Oh my
Jeez.
God, that one, it looked like when Stan Ross stole a base in Mr. 3000. Just like you could tell, he was kind of slow. Shout out to Bernie Mac, R.I.P. But you could just tell, like it took everything in him to go steal that base. By the way, I didn't understand. I thought he was out, but maybe I see things way differently. I just thought it was like a weird motion, but Freddie Freeman, you could just tell he's struggling through. He's just going through it, and it's a wonder. I didn't think he was going to make the roster, but they're like, oh yeah, no, he's ready to go, but he just didn't look right tonight. But real quick, another battle that was really interesting on X tonight was Jeff Passan versus ESPN's Jeff Passan versus Padre fans.
Because I somehow missed that.
He posted the bat chuck. Jeff, he was talking about Ohtani, and somebody goes, Jeff, where's Manny's homer? He's like, if you want to stop being treated like little brother, stop acting like one. And the guy goes, Jeff, Manny could hit 5 home runs tonight, and you'd still post highlights of the bat flip tonight. And he's like, I promise, I do not have an anti-Padres bias. I love the players. I love their fight. I love their swagger. The Padres are awesome. What I have is pro-amazing things bias, and Shohei Ohtani is the most incredible player that you, me, and everyone else watching baseball has ever seen.
Yeah,
I thought that was a fun fight. Oh, they kept on going at it, but I'm not going to read through the rest of it. But wow, Jeff Passan was really on one tonight.
Fernando Tatis Jr. had the hardest hit ball of his career, 118.9 off the bat, a ground ball double. And the first thing you see after the double is the replay of the Ohtani homer a half inning later. So I think, we're all having to get used to that. And I certainly understand Padres fans getting tired of it, because the Ohtani praise for pretty much everything is maybe a little bit, not maybe, a little bit.
I say comical.
Yeah, comical. All right, game 2, we got to wrap up here, get some things done on the TV side. Game 2, Darvish, as you mentioned, in 5 starts. Since he got back, 5-0, 3.55 ERA. Opponents hitting .217 off him. And they need that Darvish. Last time we saw him, he gave up 3 in 5 1/3 against Arizona on that Friday night where they won and clinched home field. So it's, look, you can come back to Petco Park, win 2 games, and force a 5th. It feels like a must win. Maybe it is a must win. It might.
You're gonna have to win at Dodger Stadium. You're gonna have to win there, regardless. You have to win there.
Yeah. You can potentially win there, game 5.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Obviously, you feel really, really good with the momentum, winning at Petco Park, evening the series, and then going, or winning at Dodger Stadium, evening the series as you go back to Petco Park. But
exactly.
You'll have Michael King on the mound for game 3, I would think, regardless. Game 4, though, that's where it just gets a little bit dicey, because, again, in 2022, the soft spot in the rotation was up right out of the gates. You lose that game, and then you get to your big 3. In this case, you lose with one of your big 3 on the mound, and you've got that kind of uncertain setup on the mound for game 4. So,
and Cease might have to pitch game 5.
Yeah. And he also, was a week and a half or so between starts for Dylan Cease, and he didn't seem phased by that when he spoke to reporters during the Braves series. But, maybe that had something to do with him just not kind of being as dialed as we're accustomed to him being. So a game where they had their opportunities, got off to a great start. Pitching not what it needs to be, defense not what it needs to be, and then 0 for was it 8 left on? Let me make sure I get this right. 8 left on, 2 for 11 with runners in scoring position for an offense that was one of the best or the best with runners in scoring position this season. So uncharacteristic there for the Padres. Goes down as a 7-5 loss to the Dodgers in Game 1. Game 2 on Sunday. I don't think we'll have a recap pod after Game 2. A lot going on the TV side here at NBC 7, but if not Monday, then with you after Game 3 on Tuesday back at Petco Park. But you, Darvish, I guess a must win. It feels must win-ish on Sunday against the Dodgers. So we'll see how that goes. Final thought from you, Fernando?
Don't be like young Fernando, who was told, hey, your homework is due on Monday. It's Friday. I have until Sunday night to finish it. No, don't be like that.
Don't
Get your
procrastinate.
homework done to enjoy the weekend. The Padres need to win this game. They need to go in there. They need to win this game, come back to San Diego, and put all the pressure on the Dodgers. If the Padres win tomorrow, all the pressure is now on LA to win one in what's going to be an environment where the yellow towels are going to be waved. You're going to see the Peter Seidler stuff, the reminders all over the field. There's going to be a lot of excitement in San Diego. So why not come down 1-1 and try and take 2 in a row from them in San Diego and get it done and move on to see what would be next, which is the Mets took Game 1. That was pretty surprising today, especially after the hot start that the Phillies got to. So they just need to take it one game at a time. But again, turn in your homework or do your homework now so you don't have to do it later. Just get the game out of the way
Tuesday.
in LA. Exactly. No, don't wait until when would the game be? Friday night? Yeah, no, don't wait until then. Get it done. Game 5 would be, I think, Friday night. Just get it done now. Beat them on Sunday and let's go.
Get it done, Padres. Appreciate you, Nando. Thanks everybody for watching and listen, and we will catch you next time.